Hey guys, welcome to my channel. Now, you know this channel is all about show business and every aspect of it. Now, please don't forget to subscribe and don't forget to like and say nice things, not bad things, but nice things. Now, all right, let's get on with the getting ons. Today in this video, we are dealing with singers and what they need to know musically. And you know what? I have a special person here by the name of William Foster McDaniel. He is a conductor, a pianist, an arranger. So he's been dealing with singers a very long time. How you doing, Billy?
I'm great. How you doing?
I'm good, baby. You looking good, looking good. Now listen, let's just jump right to it. Billy, you've dealt with a lot of singers down through the years. And you know, I know many people know that there's this kind of love-hate thing that goes on between musicians and singers because a lot of the times singers don't know their keys, they don't know how their charts go. So off the bat, if a young person is just starting out, embarking on a career in show business, a singer, what would you suggest that they do in terms of, music education?
Be in a choir.
To be in a choir?
Yeah, because there are choirs available from the time you're like 7, 8 years old, 9 years old. There's usually, most churches have children's choirs and young adult choirs and adult choirs and so forth and so on. But I think you can learn a lot in just being a part of a choir. Colleges, high schools have choirs. It gets you used to learning to look at music, not necessarily read music like, say, a person who's studying an instrument, but you get a feeling for looking at printed music. And you also get a lot of vocal training from choir directors.
Yes.
Short of, having your own private voice teacher, you can learn a lot from just being in choirs.
And actually, that's very, very good advice. I know me personally, I have a huge voice. And I remember my high school teacher telling me that if I couldn't hear the singer to the right or to the left of me, that I was singing, I was singing too loud. So I had to learn how to control my volume and to listen and to blend. And I think also going out, purchasing books like books in basic theory, like how to figure out how to read key signatures.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
you know that because in the end, that will help you know how to pick your key for a song. Because as you know, working with singers down through the years, just a half step up or a half step down can change the quality of your voice and how it sounds in that particular piece of music.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
don't you agree that maybe just the basic knowledge of just learning what the key signatures are, so that would help you choose a key, how to choose a key?
Yeah, that, and just in general, you try to be as knowledgeable as you can. It's so many people just don't want to do research or be open to new ideas. Or you have to learn as much as you can. It doesn't matter what your particular goals are, what your careers are in life. As long as you're committed to learning, as long as you're alive, really. I mean, you're still learning. I'm still learning. It's really, really important for young people to do that.
I think it's important. I mean, I had the fortune of having gone to college for music to major in voice. And before that, I was at the Pittsburgh Musical Institute. You had the opportunity to study classical music because you're a wonderful classical pianist, even though you play in all these other genres of music, which is great. But if that person doesn't have the luxury, there are things that you can do, books that you can read. There's videos out there, DVDs that you can buy to help you. Because I think in the end, a musician will respect you more when you come in and they say, okay, what would you like to sing today? Well, I think I'm going to sing more. What key do you do it in? Well, I do it in the key of A flat. That's a bit better than, wait a minute now, more. What key is that? You know what key that is? See, that's why they
Yeah,
get mad at us. That's why they get mad at us. They call us
absolutely.
stupid.
Yes,
Do
yes,
not be a stupid, uninformed singer. Learn the basics. We're not telling you to go out there and get a degree,
yeah.
but learn the basics. Go ahead. Go ahead, Billy. You can
No, I
talk.
was just going to say it also tells us musicians whether you really care about your craft.
Oh my God.
I
Yes.
mean, if you walk into somewhere to sing, especially if it's an audition, and you don't know what key you sing your song in, that tells us right away that you don't really care that much.
You're
And it's
also,
not
they have, go ahead.
it's not up to us to care about, what keys. And musicians, we have our way. Sometimes we might anger us a little bit, and we'll just put you in the wrong key and let you
Well,
sink or swim.
which brings me to the point. First of all, you don't want to ever go into an audition without your music. You have to have your music. This is especially if you're going in for a theater audition, whether it's regional or Broadway or whatever. You want to have your sheet music, and you want your sheet music clearly delineated, clearly spelled out. If there's a retard on that last page, if you're going here, if there's a cut, that has to be in your music.
Yeah.
Also, when you approach the accompanist for the audition, he has no idea how you gonna sing your song.
Yeah.
So he doesn't know your tempo. He may know the song, but he doesn't know how you do it. So
Exactly.
that means you stand a little bit in front of him so he can see you. And all he needs is a bar to a measure or two for you to just take your hand, sing along, so you get the right tempo. He sees it, and then he's clear. He don't need you standing up there now for 16
Yes.
bars. He doesn't need that. Trust me. He's probably a wonderful accompanist. So just give him the general idea of what your tempo is. And if there's anything in the retards, and you say, okay, over here on this page toward the end, I have a retard here. That because if you do not tell them, and you do not spell it out, they don't know.
Exactly.
They
We're
don't know.
not
And then
mind.
you're going to get
We're
mad. Wait
not
a minute,
mind
Billy.
readers.
Yeah. And then you're going to get mad because they done messed up your song, honey. Well, what tempo was that he put me in? He messed me up. No, you messed yourself up. Okay? Because you went in there and you didn't have your shit together. You have to have it together. Now,
Oh,
having
I just
said,
want to.
go
I
ahead.
just want
What?
to
What?
add to that. You said, and you get mad. Uh, don't do that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
One thing you also have to remember, because I've sat on the other side of the table, and it's very revealing. Don't show it, because
Ooh.
one thing when you're auditioning, you have to remember, because I've seen this many times, and I've been at the piano. The person who's sitting at the piano already has their job. So you're getting mad at that person isn't going to hurt that person at all, but it's going to hurt you
It
quite
will
a
hurt
bit,
you.
because if you allow your temper to show, or the fact that you're upset show, then the people that are casting think right away, well, this may be a trouble, this may be a sign of trouble. So it doesn't
Yes.
reflect well on you.
That's
So
an
things
excellent.
don't get well. If things don't go well, just stay professional.
Yeah, you really cannot let it show. And I've spoken of this in some of the other videos. Don't bring your ego into an
Yeah.
audition and
Yeah.
thinking you all that. And my favorite saying is, and some chocolate cake. Don't do that. You want
Yeah.
to come in the door. They are looking at you from the time you come in that door. They're looking at you. Come in confident, but not cocky.
Yeah.
And when you speak to everyone, and the accompanist in particular, because that's probably going to be the person that you speak to the most, be respectful. You don't come in with this attitude of I know everything and I know everything and I want you to play this way and you better play that way, because like Billy said, they pick up on it. So
Yeah.
you want to be nice.
Yeah.
and just know what you're doing. Okay, Billy, that was such great
Because
information.
we're always thinking, we're not only interested in your talent, we're not
Mm-hmm.
only interested in how well you dance, we're not only interested in your vocal range, we're also kind of checking out, I wonder what that person would be like to work with. I wonder
Yes.
how that person would be about taking notes. Sometimes you will get notes during your audition. Do you take them well, or do you take them not so well? It can, it can affect, because there's so much talent there. You have so much competition. You want everything going for you that can possibly go for you, and your personality counts a lot.
It counts a lot. That's such great advice. Okay, Billy, so tell me this. Has a singer ever come to you, ask you to play for their show, and you said, okay, sure. Then you have the rehearsal, and they don't have a clue about their music and how it goes? Has that ever happened?
Yeah, then that becomes my job. Especially, I'm assuming that you're talking about a singer hiring.
A singer hiring you. Okay, but
Yeah.
you say that becomes your job. Maybe does that become your job because they're new, and they don't have a clue. They have a song. Because it's one thing if they're coming to you to arrange the song for them because they have not had it arranged. But I'm talking about somebody a little more seasoned who has actually had something arranged for them, but they don't know how the arrangement goes. How is that possible? I mean, you laugh, but come on, Billy, it does happen.
No, it happens. You grit your teeth and you just, you do your job. That I would consider that to be my job, to help them as much as possible, and maybe to give them a little,
Advice.
talk on theory, give them, to teach them as well. About their arrangements, about what they're doing, so forth and so on. But I would consider that to be part of my job, and being supportive the best.
Okay, and being supportive, but out of being supportive, you're teaching them at the same time. Because sure enough, exactly. I think, me personally, I think that a singer who has been out there for a while and who has had arrangements done for them, paid for these things, should know how their charts go. I'm sorry.
Yeah, they should.
We're not talking about a new person coming into the business, and because there's a big possibility that they're gonna know very little, so they're gonna be totally dependent on you. I'm talking about the more advanced singers.
Yeah, I think of course it depends on how many times they've actually worked the arrangements. If somebody's been doing the arrangement for 5 years or so, or had 3 or 4 or 5 or 10 gigs doing the arrangements, then they know the arrangements pretty well.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah. And usually when people get to the level that they can pay for arrangements, you can kind of assume they're pretty much at a professional level. I think people just starting out aren't at that level quite yet. They're still depending on sheet music pretty much. Okay,
so that's good. But I will say this, that when you go to someone, say the first time that you're going to them and to that person to do an arrangement for you, this is me. I think pull on your creativity. Have some idea of how you think you might want the song to go. Sing it around the house. What's the feeling you want for that song? You want to be able to help the person arranging for you as much as possible. You don't have to know music at this point, but certainly you have a feeling of how you want to sing the song, because just that alone helps that arranger when he starts to arrange something for you.
Yeah.
Right, Billy?
Exactly. And I think, again, it shows a commitment to your craft.
Yes.
It's not about, you don't necessarily have to go to college, don't necessarily have to know musical theory, but you should be listening to other singers. You should be listening to music. The more you listen, the more you learn, the more knowledgeable you become about what's out there, the more ideas you will have about what your what your signature is going to be, what you want to do, how you want to express yourself. But it all depends on, how committed are you? How serious are you about your craft?
Now,
If you've been listening, if you're going to have ideas, you're going to develop ideas, and then you can take those. I think what you're saying is that, and this happens a lot, and I don't think it's necessarily wrong. Some singers become very committed to their arrangers and their coaches and what have you, and let them spoon feed them all their ideas.
ooh, Lord.
Yeah. I mean, you've seen those. You've seen that, I'm sure, among professional colleagues of yours, and I guess that's okay.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah, we're all
But
different.
I don't know. I just think the joy. I'm not saying that you should never take that route and just be totally dependent on an arranger to do everything for you. I'm not saying that, but there's a big but here. You want to have your voice.
Yeah.
You want to have your voice in anything that you sing. There's nothing wrong with listening to other singers, getting an idea or two. But what you can never do, what you should never do, is copy.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to hear, baby, they go ahead and stream it. And the original person. Get to play the CD. Play if they got an album still from the past. Play that. No one wants to see an imitation of somebody else. Nobody wants to see this. My manager, who owned the Apollo Theater, Bobby Schiffman, at that particular time, he told me, he said, I don't know what kind of career you're going to have, Vivian. He said, could be a possibility that you're going to do a lot of cover songs. You're going to be singing somebody else's material. He said, but whatever you do, and he drilled this into me, whatever you do, make those songs your own.
Exactly.
He said this to me all the time. He said it to me all the time. So say, for instance, late at night, you're in the bed, right? And maybe you're getting ready to have a song arranged for you. Go into the arranger. And maybe a little groove comes to you. Keep a little recorder. Keep your phone with the recorder on and near the bed, and just hum into it. Even if you can't play. I'm not the greatest pianist in the world. I just truly am not. I have a knowledge of the piano, but that's it. But you just hum into it. Whatever you're feeling, all of that, in and everything that you could do in that direction will help the arranger. Like, oh my God, they will love you for this because they now have a start where you're not totally dependent on them for everything. And you know what? You got skin in the game. And what it does is it starts you off to thinking, wait a minute. I can do this. I can do more of this. And before you know it, you're like me. Honey, I change everything.
I know.
I change everything. All a musician can do when they sit down when we're in a rehearsal is all they can say is, I know that title, because that's all they gonna know. They ain't gonna know nothing else. That's all they gonna know is the title. So what I'm saying,
it's called making it your own.
Making it your own, and you can do this. You can just sit down and just start to feel the song. What would you like to do with the song? A lot of fast songs. I have heard some fast songs that had always been sung fast, and I would hear a version of it really slow, like a ballad. Yeah. I said, damn, why didn't I think of that? On a well-known song, and it worked. Why did it work? Because it fit that person's voice. They thought of it. They said, oh, let me try this like this. And usually when you come up with an idea and you start singing it to yourself, it'll probably work with the right arrangement and groove. So don't shortchange yourself on that. Okay, Billy.
You actually may surprise yourself.
You may surprise yourself. It
Yeah.
could be a hidden talent, right, Billy? It could be a hidden talent.
It could very well be. I was smiling when you said that the thing about the tape recorder because my daughter is a big Cyndi Lauper fan.
Oh.
And she was saying that that's the exact same thing that Cyndi Lauper did when someone asked her to write a musical. She had no idea what writing a musical entailed, but she kept her tape recorder, and it turns out she did pretty good because
I think she did wonderful.
She was the first woman to win a Tony as a composer for a Broadway musical. Wow. So it worked out pretty well.
It worked well for her. So singers, don't shortchange yourself. Pull on your resources. I mean, go online, see what's on there. And as Billy said, there's a lot of crap online, but there are books and stuff that you could get that you could download with just basic theory books to learn your key signatures, and then be thinking about how you want to do your songs and stuff like that. When you go into an audition, know that sheet music, even if it's just sheet music, with the words and lyrics, and that's it. It's no special arrangement. You could still write on that and say there's a retard here, R-I-T, period, And that's another thing. Learn some music terms. Yeah, get it. What'd you say? Get it in the right key? Absolutely. Absolutely. See, this is where when you're downloading something from Music Notes, because now they can offer it in a lot of different keys. So it really does help. The best way, I think, is you look for the highest note and you look for the lowest note. I have a pretty wide range, but look for the highest note, look for the lowest note, and then bring it up in Music Notes and let it play. It's only going to give you so much. I don't think it plays the whole thing. And just try it in different keys until you feel comfortable. You want to feel comfortable because you don't want to be singing too high where it sounds like you're straining. Yeah. That is the worst. Billy, was there anything strange that you can ever remember that happened in an audition with a singer that you can remember off
well,
that?
Before we do that, another thing I wanted to say about, especially for people who are auditioning, don't work with a musician. This is for people who are really starting out. One of the worst things that can happen when we're having auditions, and I'm sure it's the same way for auditioning for TV shows like the talent shows like American Idol and shows like that. Try to work with a musician, whether it's a pianist or a guitarist or something. Don't just sing with records.
Oh!
Don't sing along with records. Don't just having your only experience singing a cappella.
Oh my God.
You don't even know when you're singing a cappella, if you're doing it correctly. Singing a cappella is for people who really, really know what they're doing.
Know what they're doing.
Please work with a musician or learn to play the guitar. I talked about instruments. The church that I'm going to now, a lot of the singers, they're not great singers, but a lot of them play the guitar. Do something. Do not just sing with records and think you're Whitney Houston or, Adele or whoever, and then go to an audition without the record, without any music, without anything. Don't do that.
I'm going to give you an idea.
And don't depend on your boyfriend or your girlfriend's evaluation of your voice.
Listen, Billy, I'm glad you brought that up. I love it when somebody says, I woke up this morning, I was in the bathroom singing, and I sound pretty good. I think I'm going to be a singer.
Exactly.
Okay, so listen, y'all, listen. Someone came to me for a consultation because they wanted a steady voice. Well, I sit down at the piano. I'm giving her some exercises. She couldn't sing. I mean, literally tone deaf. I would play one note. She would sing another note. This went on for 15 minutes until I said, okay, wait. I didn't even want money for it. I just simply told her, honey, I cannot take you on as a student. I'm not telling you not to look for someone else. I personally am not going to take you on as a student. Well, do you have any Natalie Cole? I said, yeah, I have all of her stuff. Well, could you put something on? So I go put on Natalie Cole. So she's singing along with Natalie Cole, and she's pretty much staying on with it. So after she finished, I said, let me hear you without singing along with Natalie Cole. She couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I said, sweetheart, you think you can sing because you're singing along with Natalie Cole, who happen to have been a great singer. I said, so I'm just not going to do it. Well, I don't understand. My mother and my father and my relatives told me I was fabulous. I said, honey, that's their job. They feel that that's their job to make you feel good. I said, but if you really want to know how you sing and how you sound, go to somebody that you don't know that much. And ask them for their honest opinion. They don't owe you anything. They're not your mother, not your father, not your daughter. Then they don't mean anything to you. And they barely know you, but they're happy to do this for you. That's who you ask.
And whatever you do, don't go to the Apollo.
Oh Lord, don't go to the Apollo, because you're gonna be booed off. So not everybody is meant to be a singer. They really are not. You can love singers and what have you, but not everyone. You have to find out what your thing is and embrace it. Everybody cannot be a singer. Everybody cannot be a dancer. Everybody cannot be in show business. But those of you who are singers and you really have something viable to offer, just like what Billy said a while ago, broaden your horizons, multiply your talent, learn about other things that go along with your singing that can make it better, like the lights and the sound and your knowledge of music. Just basic knowledge of music will have musicians looking at you in a different way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Billy, anything crazy happen in an audition or on a gig? Or
I did think of one thing, one audition in particular. I've known a lot of singers, a lot of people who are auditioning get very uptight when they go to an audition. They prepared a song and someone just before them sang the song. Or if they're there all day, they've heard the song 4 or 5 times. And they find that upsetting. And I think it's just the reverse.
Yes.
I don't think there's any problem. Don't worry if somebody is singing your song. Don't worry. People are there to hear what you do. I remember an audition in particular where someone came in with a very interesting song that no one had heard before. Very interesting and very amusing. And I was sitting at the table or out in the auditorium or whatever while the person was performing the song. They started singing, and the director turned to the producer and says, "Oh, that's interesting. Who wrote that song?" He says, "Well, it wasn't Sondheim. I think it was such and such and such." So I've never really heard that song. And turn the choreographer, "Have you heard that song?" Blah, 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 blah. This whole conversation goes on about what song is that?
While the person, while the person is singing?
While the person is singing. I mean, they weren't doing it loudly or anything. They're just among each other. But they were very interested in the song and not the singer. The singer.
There you go.
And they looked up. They said, "Thank you very much." And she left.
Billy.
So the point of the story is, don't worry about the song so much being an interesting song or a song that nobody is doing.
Obscure.
They want to hear you, not the song. They want to hear you, what you do with the song. So if 5 people sing the song before, a lot of auditions, you have to sing something from the show. Mm-hmm. They'll say, sing blah, blah, blah. And everybody auditions has to sing that song. So don't worry so much about finding original material. Find material that shows you off to your best advantage.
That's excellent, Billy, because I think some of these younger singers, they get so obsessed with wanting to be different from any other singer that might come in before them. So they look for this obscure material, and it may not even show you off at your best in
Exactly.
your best light.
Yeah.
I mean, that is crazy. In fact, I think I've asked you in the past, do people care if a gazillion women come in singing "I Dreamed a Dream" from Les
We
Miserables? Do they
absolutely do
really?
not, because it gives us a chance to focus on you. We're not listening to the song. We're listening to you and what you do.
Did you hear that? They're listening to you. Stop trying to find that crazy piece of music that might be a mistake, because it may not do you any good. In fact, it may hurt you. And the other thing is, if they don't specify what kind of song to bring in, but they give you a brief description of the show, it may be a new show. It could be something that's already established, that's out there. Try to bring something that's close to the kind of show that they're talking about. Don't, like, if it calls for something golden age, don't be bringing no rock song. Don't do that. Don't do that. Try to get something close. Also, Billy, you brought up a very, very good point a few minutes ago. There is a possibility that you may hear when you arrive at your audition, 4 girls, because you should arrive early now. You want to arrive early and get comfortable. Start looking at your music. If you have sides, start looking at your sides. You want to get comfortable. But you may hear that singer in there. Ooh, yeah, she can. Oh, Lord, did you hear that note? Oh, Lord, I don't know if I could do it. Don't fall into that. Do not fall into that trap of that singer hitting notes higher than yours, or maybe you think she's singing it better than you.
Yeah.
Or him, we're leaving the men out of this, but the rules still apply. Do not fall into that trap, because high notes is not going to guarantee an audition. No. What you want to do is go in there and do the best that you can do. And you know what? The most important thing out of everything is, how do you communicate that message of that song? It's all about the delivery of that song and the message.
Exactly.
Are you giving them a performance, or are you just singing?
Yeah.
There's a difference. Billy, that's a great story. That really is. That's a great story. So, Billy, you have any final words of advice to tell our young singers, or even singers who have been out there and they just need a little guidance?
Well, I think a good parting thought is the fact that, and it's so against human nature. Oh my God. I've only auditioned a couple of times in my life as an actor, singer, whatever. And it's devastating to not get chosen. But don't be discouraged, because when you go audition, people are looking for someone to fill a certain role. And
it's a type.
It's a type. And just because you don't get the gig doesn't mean that they're not impressed with your talent if you're good. Because people remember. People remember. You may not be right for this role, but
you could be.
They may have another project that's being developed, and they'll remember you. They'll remember you. So you go in, you do the best you can, and then you move on.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's easy to say that, because certainly when I was young, I would go home and think, oh God, I should have hit that note better. I should have done this scene a different way, and that's just kind of human nature. Yeah. But what he's telling you is that it really is all about type. It is all about type. What you want to aim for, and what will also help you with your nervousness, is when you start connecting to that music lyrically. When you can paint a story for those people auditioning you, when you become one with that song and those lyrics, where nothing else matters, because it's in you. You are becoming that character and connecting with those lyrics. That will have such a big impression on the people auditioning you, even though you may not be the right type. They may be looking for a whole nother type, but you know what? They will remember you.
Yeah.
I'm going to do a whole video on this. Going in, focusing on a spot like this in front of you and staying like that for the whole song. That's not performing. I'm sorry. I know your high school teachers told you to do that, and there's some young people teaching workshops told you to do that. You will never find any of the greats, whether it's Patty LuPont, Norm Lewis, Jeremy Jordan, Audra McDonald. You will never find them staring like that, because staring, or as they like to say, focusing on a spot in front of you, that's not performing. There is no way you can paint pictures for someone watching you doing that. So that's a habit that you need to break. And I'll tell you something else. If you're going to take a workshop, unless that young person is really extremely talented and they've done a bunch of shows and they are considered a great performer, I probably wouldn't take a workshop with somebody under 45. You want somebody experienced who's been out there. I mean, Billy.
Who's been around the block.
Who's been around the block and who's considered a great performer. Billy, talk about broadening one's horizons. Billy trained as a classical singer, as a classical pianist, as I was trained as a classical singer. But I will guarantee you that Billy can play almost in any style. Talking about reaching and honing your gift and multiplying it. So what does that mean? And we're going to get into discussion in another video. It means that he's sought after. People want him for gigs, for Broadway, for regional theater. He's a conductor. That's the difference when you work on your craft. That's what it'll give you.
It's about commitment.
It's about commitment. You know, and well, I was about to say, and loving what you do. You don't have to be, and I've said this so many times, you don't have to be the greatest singer in the world. You really do not. But what you have to have are performance skills. You have to have that in spades. Trust me when I tell you. I've heard great singers who couldn't make my toe move, and singers with just mediocre voices who made me cry. Hone what you have, and just be committed. And if you don't love it, get out now. Save yourself. Save yourself. Would you say, oh, it's rough, honey. I haven't even done a video on that, baby. It's like, I call it a slow suicide. A slow suicide, baby. But when it works, there is nothing like it.
Yeah, you gotta love it.
You gotta love it. Billy, this was so great. Such great information. William Foster McDaniel, that's his real, I mean, Billy is, that's his nickname. But his given name is William Foster McDaniel, and he is had an incredible career. Shows on Broadway, off Broadway, regional theater. And he's a director's dream, because in a dance rehearsal, he knows what to do. If he's taken down notes for accents, that the choreographer might be given. It's all of these things that count, why you have to hone your craft and work on it. So thank you, Billy, so much for doing this.
It's been a pleasure.
Yes, darling. And to you viewers, listen to what we told you now. And I will see you the next time. Bye.
The next time. Bye.